Muhammad. Allahumma salli. وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الدائم على أعدائهم وغاصبي حقوقهم ومنكري فضائلهم ومناقبهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. تقبل الله أعمالكم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your ta'at and ibadat, your fasting, your supplication, your prayers, your Quran recitation, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of our marhumeen, and especially the marhumeen of the volunteers and the mu'mineen and mu'minat who are present here. Let's all together recite Surah Fatiha for them. Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. As we said, we will be looking at eschatology, which is actually qiyamah, resurrection, in the Quran and Sunnah, and also in the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam and the scholars, esteemed scholars. As we all know that qiyamah, which is ma'ad, known as return. Ma'ad means to return, we return back from our life, from our death. Returning back from death. That's ma'ad. Is a tenet of our belief system. Those who believe in Allah and they don't believe in ma'ad, they are not considered as Muslims. They have to believe in qiyamah in order for them to be Muslims according to the Quran. They have to believe in the angels, they have to believe in the prophets, they have to believe in the books that Allah have sent. So the same way, ma'ad, eschatology, resurrection, day of judgment is part and parcel of tenets of Islam. Something is very important for us to believe. And Quran tends to be very unparalleled in terms of depicting and describing ma'ad in comparison to any holy scriptures or to any world religions. The amount of detail that we find in regards to life of hereafter in Islam, and particularly in the Shia faith, is very unique, right? The belief in the hereafter is part and parcel of all religions. Within Hinduism as well, they have a system which they call reincarnation, and it's a very fascinating and very subtle, special type of belief. It's usually, people within their shallow nature, they tend to criticize reincarnation, saying that, oh, how is it possible that, for example, a person who was a human being comes back into life as an animal, for example. It's very easy to be critical of, but there's a lot of philosophy in regards to what they are trying to really present as in reincarnation. It's a very unique and special belief as well. Because man always reflects upon death, reflects upon the hereafter. And these reflections of man, regardless of Muslim or non-Muslim, is inspired with metaphysical realities that are, unfolded to the person, right? That's how the scientist become a scientist. The knowledge that he has, with that knowledge he constantly reflect upon the knowledge that the person have. And these reflection inspires him with higher forms of reality. Then he comes up with something that is beneficial to mankind. Einstein, Newton, all of these great scientists that existed, that lived, they were actually very sincere individuals in order to promote and support humanity. And on the knowledge which they had, on the basis of that knowledge, they reflected upon it. And when they reflected upon it, they came up with theories and ideas, right? And as a matter of fact, if you look at Einstein, I was watching a program on Discovery or on Discovery Channel, that they were talking about him either being, he was known as a prophet. Prophet is somebody who benefits mankind, not a prophet from our definition, that who have a risalat or wahi and stuff like that. But as a prophet is somebody who benefits humanity. That person is known as a prophet, right? Or, for example, as we say, Nabi. Nabi is the one who have nabbaha. Nabbaha is a news or something he's informed and inspired. That person is a Nabi. There's a hadith of the Prophet which says that when you're reciting Quran, you're just like Nabi. However, you're Nabi in the sense that things are being downloaded on your heart from the Quran, but you don't have risalat, like how Prophet have the risalat, have that messengership. So that's why Nabuwa is a lower level of risala, right? Because the Prophet, inshallah, when we're going to discuss about prophetology, a person becomes Nabi first, and then after that he becomes a Rasul. So potentially speaking, we all are Nabis, right? Because our hearts are all inspired by the higher forms of knowledge, right? Now here, Einstein, they say that he was so genius, either he was in touch with aliens, this Discovery Channel which I was watching, that the things that were presenting different theories. Either he was in touch with the aliens, and the aliens informed him, and then he kind of presented his theories and so on and so forth, because they were so precise in the physical realm, right? Or either he was a spiritual man who have traveled into the metaphysical world and decoded the metaphysical realities, and then came down into this physical world and presented his theories. That's why they were so precise. This reminded me of a hadith of the 8th Imam Rada alayhi salam, that this physical world is the watered down version of the spiritual or the metaphysical world. What we see in this physical world is nothing that comes down from that metaphysical world, right? So if a person have that capacity and could contemplate on this physical world, eventually he will reach to that metaphysical world. And then he will be able to see and determine what's out there and bring that here in this world to deliver it to humanity and to people, right? So what I was saying, that Quran is very unique in terms of informing about death and hereafter in comparison to other scriptures. Even Old Testament or New Testament doesn't really talk or describe about the day of judgment or death and barzakh the way Quran and Hadith describes. There's a German theologian, Christian theologian, Swedenborg. He wrote a book, Life After Death, and he himself have reference or accumulated the eschatological science, which means the science of the hereafter, from Islamic sources. Because the way Imam Jafar as-Sadiq, for example, how Imam describes what death is, what happens, right? And as a matter of fact, there's an institute which is known as NDE. It's in America, Near Death Experience, and they have offices in different hospitals as well. I wonder if they have it in Houston or not, but in America, it's it's based in the United States, the NDE, and they kind of record the patients' journals and what they are going through while they have been about to die, or while they were in coma, or they come back from coma, what they saw. All the things are recorded, right? And all of them seems to be so close to each other in terms of what they have experienced, because it's action and reaction, basically. It's not like a Muslim soul or a Hindu soul, or it's a soul of a human being experiencing transformation from this life to the other life. It's just like when sun will rise, the day will come, right? So everybody experiences pretty much the same thing, such as we saw a tunnel, we saw a light, we saw our religious personality, so on and so forth, which the sixth Imam also have talked about, which we'll go in detail later on. So what I'm trying to say here is that 1400 years ago, the Quran and the Ahl Bayt and the Hadith that we have are so precise that what a soul goes through, right? Because death is one of the first steps towards qiyamah, right? Qiyamah is in different stages, and death is one of that first step, right? So therefore, the amount of description and depiction, إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ انْكَدَرَتْ, the sun will be put off and the mountains will become like cotton and they will fly, and they will be إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. I mean, it's fascinating the way Quran describes the Qiyamah, what will happen, right? And that's why Quran, that's why eschatology, the sciences of the hereafter or the day of judgment becomes a very important part of discussion for theologians, for philosophers, for mystics, for Sufis, for jurisprudential scholars, and also for exegetes, those who do tafsir. So it's a very important discipline within Islamic teaching, that sciences in regards to eschatology, in regards to qiyamah. Now, one of the things that is attached with ma'ad, as we say eschatology, qiyamah, is mabda. That's why you would find Islamic scholars such as Ibn Sina, Mullah Sadra, Fayyid Kashani, and many of the scholars, even in the contemporary period, such as Allama Tabatabai, for example, Mullah Hadi Sabzawari, they all have written treatises under the title of Mabda wa Ma'ad. Under the Mabda as in beginning, as in origin, which is Mabda, where we come from, what our origination is, and Ma'ad is the hereafter. So all of the major scholars of Irfan, of Falsafa, of Kalam, Shi and Sunni, they always express their opinion and their understanding in regards to this topic. This topic, this phenomena is of a very importance. And therefore for us as Muslims as well, it's very important that we, enhance ourselves, that we have understanding of what's going to unfold, right? So that we know that where we are going, and so that we know that how to prepare and what we are supposed to be doing, right? And what are these different stages which the Quran and the Hadith have described. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So therefore, as Ma'ad, which is the hereafter, Qiyamah, is very much connected to the Mabda, to the beginning, right? Because the discussions of Ma'ad was there even if Shaitan would have done sajda to Adam. If Shaitan would have done sajda to Adam, still Ma'ad will be there. That means if Ma'ad is there, if the day of judgment is there, then the trials and tribulation are there. It's not always that the Shaitan comes and deviates us. It is no, my own nafs deviates me. Right? The question of being tested, the question of being punished, regardless of Shaitan being there or not, that would have been there. Right? Because when Shaitan did not do sajda to Adam, what did he say? Then give me respite, give me time. Till when? Till yawma yub'asun, till the day that everybody will be raised. So in the knowledge of Allah, in the plan of Allah, the day of judgment was already determined, was already there, regardless of Shaitan, being a good person or an evil person. Shaitan is just, a means of test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us. And as a matter of fact, I know Ayatollah Jawad Amali, in one of the introductory discussion of Asrarul Ibadat, there's a book that he wrote, which are the secrets of Ibadat, because every action of ours have a secret to it. There's a ma'ani to it. Like for example, why do we shake hands after prayers? We just met before prayers, we shook hands, but we prayed, and then after prayers, we again shake hands. Because we have gone on a journey. We usually shake hands after a journey, after we haven't seen each other for a long time, right? After we are seeing each other for the first time. So now because Salat Mirajul Ibadah, Salat Mirajul Mu'min, prayers are considered as Miraj. So now when I said Allahu Akbar, I have traveled. As I have traveled, and I have returned back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Even the salams, if you look at it, it's all on different level. So Assalamu alaikum abadallah, Assalamu alaikum ayyuhan nabi, and Assalamu alaikum, we are back on earth. wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, right? And then after that, we give salams to each other. We shake hands with each other. So every action that we perform, our niyat, our qiyam, our ruku, our sujood, our fasting, there are deeper spiritual meanings behind them. Why do we perform them? Like, for example, we pray like this, our du'as, right? The angels will come and take our du'a from our hand. And then we wipe this face on our face. Why? Because this hand have been touched by the angel. That's why we wipe it. So you have these deeper meaning behind every action that we perform. There's a book by Sheikh Saduq. Sheikh Saduq, as we all know, is one of the scholars who was born with the dua of Imam Hassan Askari alayhi salam. The father of Sheikh Saduq was the Sahabi of the 11th Imam. And we have manuscripts from Sheikh Saduq in regards to how to pray and whatnot. So therefore, everything that we are performing is directly from the Ma'sumin alayhi salam. We are that certain of our fiqh and of our itiqadat, right? So Sheikh Saduq has a book called Ma'aniul Akhbar. It's a 2-volume book in which he has compiled all of the different narrations from different imams in regards to the ma'ani, in regards to the meaning of these akhbar, of these hadiths that we have. Agha Jawad Amali, and usually that's how the trend follows. The scholars in the past who have written works, presented treatises, right? And the present scholars also follow the similar path in terms of writing their books, right? So therefore, Agha Jawadi also wrote a book which is called Hikmatul Ibadah. In the Muqaddamah of Hikmatul Ibadah, he writes that shaitan is nothing because of mercy of Allah. Even shaitan is because of his mercy, right? His mercy encompasses everything, right? So why? Because it is because of shaitan we are tested. And we defeat shaitan, and then we go in paradise. So it becomes a means of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And whatsoever, and from a philosophical point of view, whatsoever exists, it has a wujud. If it has a wujud, then it is because of His mercy. If it doesn't have the wujud, that means the wrath of Allah is on it. It's disappeared, vanished. It no longer exists, from a philosophical point of view. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So therefore, the mabda, as I was mentioning, that every scholar, they have written treatises on mabda wa ma'ad, the origin and the, return. Right? In terms of the ma'ad, when we want to understand to a greater deal what eschatology or what qiyamah is, we have to understand the origin. We have to understand the mabda, right? Because ma'ad really sits in mabda, it's in the mabda itself, which is Allah. Now, it's ma'ad of who? It's ma'ad of ours. It's a resurrection of our souls, right? So now first we have to know, okay, if it's a resurrection of our souls, then what is the mabda of insan? What is the beginning of man? Who is man? In order to understand the Day of Judgment, we have to understand who is man. When we look at who is man, we find that Allah says, according to the hadith of Rasulullah Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he's been created in the form, Adam have been created in the form of Allah, in the face of Allah. The form that we have is, Adam is created in the face of God. That's how Adam is created. That's what insan is. Human being, that means that he has the potentiality to correspond and to embrace all of the asma ilahi. That's why he becomes the loci of sajda. That's why he becomes the reality where all the angels have been asked to do sajda. And that's why Allah asked, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ أَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا in the Quran. Allah says that I have taught Adam all names. Teaching this all names means that Adam adapts to all of these names. Teaching means that, right? When we learn something, that what we have learned is in here. When a doctor learns something, all of the science is in here. And then he will treat the patient according to the knowledge that he has in him, right? Maybe there's a person with a tummy ache, maybe the person have a flu, but the knowledge in here, he has adapted, he has taken all of these. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ أَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. When Allah is saying that Allah have taught these names to Adam, that means he has corresponded and he has embraced all of these names. And that is insan, because he's in the face of Allah. When we are saying that he is in the face of Allah, that means that he has the potentiality of being the Khalifa. That's what Allah says, that he is the Khalifa on earth for me. What does Khalifa means? Khalifa means comes from khulf, an opposite, right? You know, when we are standing in the mirror, we are khulf mirror. We are khulf ayn, khilaf ayn. You know, Khalifa means that. So Adam is the Khalifa, means that he's mirroring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what insan is. That's what human being is, right? And he has that potentiality. And as he reaches to its perfection and kamal, where he becomes full as a human being, as an insan, then he becomes Khalifatullah, then he becomes manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why the Ahl Bayt, Imam Baqir alayhi salam says that, which we'll look in more detail when we are doing wilaya, imamat, they say that nahnu asma'ullah, we are the names of Allah. The Imam says, we are the names of Allah. What does the Quran say? Lahul asma'ul husna fad'u biha. They are the beautiful divine names of Allah, and seek them in order that you come near me. That's what wasila is. And Imam Baqir is saying, nahnu asma'ullah. We are the names of Allah. So through these names, means through the Imams, they are the medium, they are the vehicle through which we will reach Allah, right? So here insan, now this insan who have this, who have that potentiality. So he has to bring this potential out. And that's what the ahkam and the spiritual exercises and spiritual wayfaring, sayru suluk, is all about. It's a journey for man to reach his maximum capacity, to be true human being. Insan should become insan. As Rumi says, Di Sheikh ba charagh hamin gash toresha. As divo dat malulam o insanam arzus. Goft yafti nashavad. Anche ke yafti nashavad anam arzus. Moulana Rumi, he has a beautiful poetry. He said, last night the Sheikh with the torch was looking around the city, around the city, looking around the city, a human being, trying to find a human being. And was saying, as divo dat malula, I'm sick and tired of evil and devil people that are around me. Right? Why? Because they haven't reached their potentiality of being an insan. Then they are on the stage of animal. Then they are at the stage of being a vegetable. They are in the vegetative stage. They are in their animalistic stage. They haven't reached the stage of intellectuality and of being a human being. So here is a sheikh, and he says that last night I was looking around the city in order that I find an insan. Because I'm sick and tired of what I see. Then a voice echoed that, Sheikh, you will not find an insan. But look at the determination of the Sheikh. Sheikh says, Anche ke yafti nashavad. That you cannot find, that's my arzu. That's what I want to find. Right? That determination should be there. To find a teacher, to find a human being, to find someone who would make us a true human being. Hor? What was he? Look what Hussein did. Hussein brought him where? In the camp where the sixth Imam says that, may my life qurban. May my life be sacrificed to Ashab of Hussein. That's insan. Who did that? It's Imam. It's Imam Hussein, who changed the destiny. Right? Who was somebody in the camp of the devils and evil, and changed that. Anche ke yafti nashavad anam arzus. That's Imam Zaman. That will change, take humanity to a different level altogether, right? That's why we are in search of the Imam. That's why we are in the state of intizar. We are waiting for the Imam to reappear, so that he brings that humanity, justice, truth, right? So insan have that potentiality. If you help me with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Najmuddin Razi, a philosopher also who echoes Ibn Arabi, Sufi master, he divides the life of man into 5 different stages. A stage of non-existence in God's knowledge before creation. As we spoke about a little bit about the divine silence. There was nothing. There was divine silence. And then what happened? Kun happened and fayakun. There was silence, right? And there's so much to learn in silence. So powerful silence is, right? Because there's no explanation. And as a matter of fact, as we were talking about the hadith of the 8th Imam, we said that this world is nothing but the reflection or the watered down version of the metaphysical world. The higher you go up, there's more silence. If you ask an astronaut, what is the most powerful thing that you find in the space? He says it's silence. There's no noise. It's so peaceful. So the higher you go, it's more peaceful, right? And then there's that kun. So you have that non-existence in God's knowledge, the creation, right? And then after that is the existence in the world of spirits. That kun happened and you have the beginning version of the world of spirits, which the Quran also talks about Alam-e-Zar, right? Before we come to this world, we were in the Alam-e-Zar, right? And that's one of the reasons why we tend to adapt or love each other or make relationship with each other, because we were in the Alam-e-Zar with the wilayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Right? So no matter where we are and where we go, we just feel at home when we come to the point of Ghadir. That's what this place is called, Ghadir too, right? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So that's the second stage. After that is the third stage, which is the attachment of the spirits to the body. Right? That's the embryonic stage. That's where the وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. And this is also very fascinating, that Allah is saying that وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. And He mentions this only to insan. He doesn't mention this to mountains or stars or angels. I have breath into Adam, my spirit, ruhi. Not, He doesn't even say in the Adam there's a spirit of Allah. That's third person, right? Which Allah have that style, He speaks that way, in the Quran. But when it comes to Adam, He says, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. I have breath into Adam, my spirit. That's why there's this yearning of ours with Allah. Just like how is the yearning of the Layli and Majnun. No matter what, we will always be yearning for that. Being attached to our beloved, which is Allah. Right? So here, the third stage is where, the attachment of the spirits to the body. The fourth stage is the separation from the bodily frame. That's death. So when we are attached, the spirit comes, attaches to us, to the body, and you have the soul, right? And then after that, it leaves this frame, this body. It's gone. Raja'un, right? Returns back. And when it returns back, right, leaves the bodily frame, and then the return to the frame, which is the Qiyamah. So these are the 5 stages. Now, every stage of this reflects one of the realities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this must be reflected. And that's why the creation is there as well. It's not possible for the creation not to be there. People ask, oh, why did He create it? I don't want to pray, I don't want to fast, I don't want to be here. Why He created? For what? Right? That's one of the questions that they ask. The question is not that. The question is, are you good or not? The person will say, yes, I am good. So if you see a banana peel on the floor or a blind man crossing the road, what would you do? Oh, I would go and help. Why? Because you are good. and you would like to do good, and no one can stop you from doing good. And if you don't do that, it will be waste of the good that you have. So Allah is the creator. Allah is the Khaliq. It will be the waste of His hikmat, of His wisdom, of His mercy not to create. It's a natural process of His existence. Just like as you stand near the ocean, the waves will be coming one after the other, and every wave will be beautiful and not similar to the previous wave that it was. That's why Allah is always creating, and every creation is different. Right? So therefore, this whole setup of creation and ma'ad is something that is natural, and it's following that path. Ya ayyuhal insan innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqi. That's what it is. So here it goes. So the first stage, which is God's in the non-existential stage, in the knowledge of God, that is actually God as creator. Allah is the Khaliq. Then after that, when in the world of spirits is the God by attributes, His asma, His awsaf, His attributes in the stage of spirits, and that is immaterial. That is immaterial. The world of spirits is immaterial. Then after that, when it attaches to the body, these spirits, then God as the sustainer, as the forgiver, as the giver. All of these awsaf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is manifested out. Then after that, when a person dies, that is God as the slayer, God as the mumit. And we all have to see that name of mumit. It just can't be possible that we don't see the name of mumit. It's like being deprived. Death is perfection. Death is kamal. Death is beautiful. We will be deprived of seeing the name of Allah, which is mumit. Imagine the levels of Jannah on the 99 names, hypothetically speaking. There are 99 names of Allah. So the hereafter, the Jannah is based on these 99 names. And you have to journey through these 99 names to be on the highest level of the Jannah. Right? And then a person who have journeyed through 98 names is on a higher level, or a person who have journeyed 99 names is on a higher level. Obviously, the person who have done 99 names on a higher level. And one of that name is Mumit. Right? And we have to. That's what the fourth Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam says. In one of the du'as of Saif Sajjadiyah, he kind of points out to see these du'as are very powerful. These du'as are actually the source of treasure and knowledge. We got to reflect upon these du'as, to basically unknot them to understand. So the Imam says that death is nothing but a mukashafa. Mukashafa means unveiling of the truth, of the reality. Kashf, mukashafa. And mukashafa of what? Mukashafa of the death angel. Death angel is right here. But there is hijab. We are not seeing it. Last night, as I mentioned, there are so many things that we can't see and we can't hear. Right? And this is sometimes out of His mercy that we can't see and we can't hear, can't smell, can't smell even. They say Imam Zainul Abidin would, was able to see the evil person and would tell what are the intention of that evil person. They said, how? They will ask him, how? He said, have you ever crossed through a dumpster? When you cross through a dumpster, does it smell or not? It does. The sin of a human person, it smells. It has that pungent smell. It shows on the face of that person. Right? And to control that and even offer water as Amirul Mu'mineen is something else. That's a true human being. Right? Like looking at a sinner and asking him that you look new in the city, if you need any help, let me know. And then he says he will be my killer as well at the same time. That's a human being. That's an insan. And he's our imam. And he wants us to go reach there. And if we don't, then that's a shame. Right? Then what difference does it make? Difference does that make between us and, that we kind of point fingers at, for example? When we have imams like this, leaders like this, right? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So it's a mukashafa, it's unveiling of what? Israel is right here, but we don't see. Because there is a hijab, there's a veil in front of my eyes, and that Israel, that death angel. In a hospital or in a place, for example, we are next to is about to die, may Allah protect all of our senior members with health and tawfiqat, and all of you guys as well, is where he sees that, and that person dies. But I don't see it, and I don't die. So it's just an unveiling of that reality. So it's a natural process. When a soul looks at an angel, the soul leaves the body. It just happens, right? And as a matter of fact, as we were talking about the name of Mumit, see, as we said, it's a journey of that name of Mumit. What is Israel as well? Israel is nothing but, going back to the reference of the 8th Imam Hadith, this dunya is the watered down version of the spiritual metaphysical world, right? What is Israel as well? Israel is nothing but the manifestation of that name of Mumit of Allah from the Jabarut. So imagine this. You have the mulk, which is this earth, right? And here what happens is death takes place, maut. Then on a higher level of this mulk, you have the malakut, which is the angelic realm. And on the higher level of this angelic realm, imagine like a circle, you have the Jabarut, the names, the realm of the names of Allah. All of the names of Allah are there. Now when this Jabarut is connected to His Zat, right? Now when these names manifest and descends down, it takes forms. It has to take form, right? As they say, there's a poetry in Farsi, when you see yourself in the mirror, that is you, but not you. The whole creation is God, but not God. So therefore, as these asma comes down on this earth, it takes forms. It reaches to the realm of malakut. This very mumit, which is the name of Allah, which is the attribute of Allah, will become Israel. When this Israel will come to this earth, it becomes maut. So in reality, that's why Amirul Mu'mineen says, or Imam Hussain says, that I am yearning for death, because that is a connection with that name of Mumit. That's a communion, especially when you're on a haqq, right? Because through that you will be entering a realm of barzakh, right? Where you will be able to dwell and see higher forms of reality. That's a doorway. So death is one of the first steps towards eschatot, towards qiyamah, right? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now the nature of man, an insan, and human being, as he has created in the form of God, in his primordial nature, in his nature, he's been given by God, it is worthy to know the realities of all things. He will be capable and he will be knowing the reality of all of these things, right? That's why he is the Khalifa. That's why he is the owner of the earth. That's why Allah says that, oh Adam, I have created you for me and I have created everything for you, right? All of these things is created for you. You are the owner of it. You are the caretaker of it. This is the amana given to you, right? So therefore, when I trash waste in the recycling and I trash food in the proper trash can, I'm taking care of the amana of Allah. That's what it is, right? I'm determining, I'm being a human being by doing the right thing. I should be doing that right thing by not wasting food, by not just gathering stuff that I was hungry all day and now it's the time of iftar and I'm going to take everything what's there, right? And then eventually it's wasted. I'm not taking care of the amana. I'm not being insan. I'm not going on that journey to become perfect, right? It's all connected. Little thing to big thing. Every little thing to big thing, right? So here, insan, salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. That's why I said in the beginning, the spirit had knowledge of universe and not of particulars. So when we were in the world of spirits, non-existent stage, the alam arwah, that were the knowledge of the universals. Why? Because there's no particularities as we have here, as we have the forms here. It is not there in the realm of the spirits, right? So there were universalities. It had the knowledge of the world of the unseen, but not of the visible world. It has the knowledge of the ghaib, but not of the visible world. When it was joined to this world and duly trained and nurtured, it acquired knowledge of both universals and particulars. You see? So when we came to this world, we gathered the knowledge of the particulars. And we also have the knowledge of the universals from before as well. So it's a complete form of knowledge. Now, when we are talking about the knowledge of the universals, that comes the Platonic theory of that knowledge is actually recollection. It is not a learning, right? The Plato, his theory of knowledge was that you are actually, oh, is it time already? Oh, wow, mashallah, salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Right. I'll just finish this point. Plato, for him, what we are learning here, and the reason why we learn here is because we have the knowledge of the universals from the past, from the world of universals. That's why we are able to understand and learn, right? So therefore, that's what knowledge is for him. And as a matter of fact, Plato, Aristotle, Pythagoras, these were all, great, wise, even prophets, I will call them, who are praised by Imam Jafar Sadiq. We have a hadith from the sixth Imam saying that, Rahamallah ala Aflatun wa Arastu. May Allah have mercy on Plato and Aristotle. They were men of God, and then invited people with burhan, with proof to Tawheed. Right? So inshallah, I think there's quite a few which is left. Inshallah, we'll continue tomorrow. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa